please stand and pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All individuals are asked to either silence or turn off cell phones, pages, or other electronic devices that may disrupt the meeting. Approval of the agenda, approve the agenda and post as posted in accordance with open meeting law. I'm here to place all agenda items on the table for discussion. And I would like to move the presentation by Mr. David Drone up to the presentation portion of it, and we'll act on it later. So with that, would anybody make a motion to approve the agenda? Second. Motion by Alderman Hercock, second by Councilman Hansen to approve the agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of the minutes. Copy of the minutes for the special work session meeting of February 21st, 2017 and the regular meeting of February 21st, 2017 are enclosed. What's the wish of the council?
I make a motion to approve.
Second. Got a motion by Alderman Hercock, second by Councilman Wiltgren for approval. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of the bills, checks number 95914 through 95969 totaling $276,009.26. What's the wish of the council?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by Council Member Gushek, second by Council Member Lundberg for approval of the bills. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Awards, donations, presentations, proclamations. For the presentation, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, the Sons of the American Legion received some national recognition, and I would like to read this and then introduce them, and you come forward, hopefully the record will take a picture. Sons of the American Legion, Squadron 46's City Flag Project was nationally recognized in the National Update, the official publication of the Sons of the American Legion. Publication is sent out to 400,000 members nationwide. This project began in 2006 with the Sons of the American Legion donating U.S. flags for placement on streetlights from 13th Avenue Northeast to 8th Avenue Southeast and from 13th Street West to 19th Street East. City Street Department staff places and maintains over 100 U.S. flags through the summer and the fall. Here tonight, representing the Sons of the American Legion, Squadron 46, if you would step forward when I introduce you, please. Commander Randy Nyquist. First Vice Butch Zimmerman. Adjutant Al Stencil. Finance Steve White. Chaplain Trent Iverson. Sergeant at Arms Greg Santon. We don't have an award for me to present, but I'd love to have you guys come forward and take a picture with the mayor. Congratulations and great job, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next presentation, David.
Good evening, Council. Construction work is virtually completed on last year's petition for projects. Seemed like a fairly restrained year. The ending dollar amount of the project was, in round numbers, $900,000. City Council assessed roughly a third of that, and is our practice for large projects like this to particularly with assessments that we finance on long term through the issuance of bonds. We've probably done this every year or so for the last 20 years. The mechanism we follow will be the same as we've always done. The debt will be paid over 15 years, which is the term of the special assessments associated with the project. We'll purchase a Moody's rating. At current market interest rates, we're expecting interest rates of no less than 3% on this money. Okay, that's going to mean annual payments of roughly 70 grand, and that portion that's not covered by special assessments should be a little over 40. I think the county's preliminary budget put in about $90,000 levy dollars for this, which means in future years you ought to be able to cut that levy amount in half. Okay. Usually on dollar amounts of this size, we recommend to sell bonds competitively, which means the council would set a date in the future to take bids. We tabulate the bids, show up, tell you which was the best bid, and you'd have the ability to award the contract on the sale of bonds. That can be accomplished if we start this evening. It'll be ready for your second meeting next month, the second meeting in April, which I believe is the 17th. Item 2 would be that periodically your bonds become callable, which makes them easy to pay off or refinance. And every couple of years we seem to have a batch of refundings. Your last really high debt high interest rate debt came due or callable in February. Okay, it is bonds we did back in 2009. We actually took about 7 or 8 small pieces of remnants of bonds that were left over at that time, squashed them in together into a $4 million refunding. And I recall saving $307,000 by doing that. Oddly enough, there's still $2.8 million of that bond issue still outstanding. It's carrying an interest rate of about a little under 4%. And rates on terms of this debt should put us 1.5 lower than that. If we were to refinance after all costs, I would project we'd see savings of something like $150,000. You have a second bond issue, was a tax increment bond that was done for Walgreens, also back in 2009. Same story. Interest rates a little bit higher. The dollar amount of the bonds is a little under $400,000. But if we were to refinance that by throwing that bond issue in the same mix, we'd be looking at saving another $70,000. So by refunding after expenses, you'd be looking at a savings of somewhere in the range of $200,000 to $225,000. Since we're going to the expense of a public bond sale anyhow, and the purchase of a rating, I think it makes all the sense in the world to include a refunding of all of this old debt into that process, take bids, and if we save the money I think we saved, we could award the sale of refunding bonds at the same time. So my recommendation to you is wait when you get to the item in your agenda this evening. We should start the process to issue the debt for last year's petition project. And at the same time authorize us to issue potential refunding debt for the other bonds in hopes of saving future debt service expense in excess of $200,000. We have that sale on the 17th of next month. We'll tabulate the results and we'll discuss which portion or all of that to afford. So we need you to start that process by resolution tonight. Questions on that?
Mr. President, I just have comments on, you've done this before and it's been successful and saved us hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I would not see why we won't do it again.
My sense is there's no advantage to wait. My guess is the likelihood of rates going up is a little bit higher than the likelihood of interest rates going down. So I think now's the time to do it.
Any other questions for David?
I just read an article about Fed, and rate hikes are on the table coming up.
How long does this process take from start to finish?
We could squash it and work very hard, and we could have it ready for your first meeting next month. We're suggesting that we have it at the second meeting. It's been a couple of years since we talked to the rating agencies, and having a little bit of elbow room will help. But if you are vastly concerned, we can amplify the process and try to get it done at your first meeting next month. We're suggesting the second one.
Any other questions for David?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
On to the consent agenda. We got Airport Commission minutes, January and February 2017 received. Application for exempt permit and temporary on-sale malt beverage license, Holy Family Church Heritage Fest, approved. Application for exempt permit and temporary on-sale malt beverage license, Our Lady of Lourdes Church Bazaar, approved. Application for exempt permit, Minnesota Rodeo Association raffle, Morrison County Fairgrounds, approved. Building Department report, February 2017 received. Library Board minutes, February 2017 received. Organizational chart update, approved. Park, Rec, and Tree Board minutes, February 2017 received. Recycling reports, December 2016, and yearly totals received. Temporary on-sale liquor license, Our Lady of Lourdes Church Centennial, approved. What is the wish of the council on the consent?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilmember Gushek, second by Mayor Zilka, to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Public hearings and lettings. Public hearing, cable TV franchise, charter, communications, input, John?
City administrator is in a meeting right now, so I believe that tonight the request is that we have a public hearing on the cable franchise agreement. It's something that is required for us to have when we're doing the negotiations with the cable company.
Okay. Any questions from council? Hearing none, we'll move it on to the public comment. If you wish to speak, raise your hand and stand. The council president will call you and recognize you. Typically, individuals are allowed to speak up to 2 minutes and should be germane and concise. And further shall not exceed 2 times with a maximum of 2 minutes, or 2 appearances. All right? Anyone from the public wish to speak?
Yes. Up there?
Podium, please. Name and address.
Name's Michael Joseph Hawkins, address 301 Love Street Southeast, lot 221, Little Falls, Minnesota. Competition's good. Problem is that I've called other companies, cable companies and what have you, that cannot get into Little Falls. AT&T found out they had a monopoly. They got gone. What I find ironic is that the government of Little Falls has the same cable company that we the customers use, which goes down to channel 11. When I complained about sinkholes and what have you, water problems up here, all some emails disappeared from them. Ironically, they have Century too. Now, I'm not saying collusion, I'm not saying anybody's guilty of anything, but it sure is kind of funny when certain coincidences start happening, when channel 11 loves Little Falls. I've seen statements in there. I've seen statements where they love Little Falls. What bothers me is that when something goes haywire up here, you try to get help from them, they turn it around, and the emails disappear, so I have no proof of that except the ones I sent to them. If that's not collusion or whatever, and you can't tell me that everybody in this town is honest. You can't tell me all this is all straight up. So it's not. You waste 45 minutes on the garbage when you've got other problems other than that, which includes Century 21. Century Link. And if you don't believe me, I can prove that one too.
This is the deal with Charter, not CenturyLink.
Sorry.
I don't know if you're aware.
Sorry, that's what I meant.
Okay.
Problem being is that the same one they used on Channel 11, same one you guys used the whole thing. And when I contact them about the problem, they say, no, it can't be. They tell me, quit using the computer because somebody is reading it. And they told me this. My arrows are going all over the place, the whole bit. Yeah, wait, pause, and I get the security thing. They said there's no way they can get into it. My thing was, yeah, watch the time.
Time's up. Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak?
Yes, I certainly would. At your last public
Name
hearing,
and address.
Robin Hensel, 807 First Street Southeast. At your last public hearing on January 17th, 2017, in this very chamber, you allowed Sue Kester, Bruce Mahler, and one other gentleman to speak almost completely uninterrupted for 6 minutes, and one of them was over 6 minutes. Even though your public hearing procedure states, if you wish to speak, raise your hand or stand, the council president or chairperson will recognize you. Typically individuals will be allowed up to 2 minutes and should be germane and concise, and further shall not exceed 2 minutes and maximum of 2 appearances. At the earlier hearing tonight, I was rudely interrupted. Teresa was going to be disallowed to speak. I had to point out those rules to the mayor who conducted that hearing. He obviously didn't know the rules of the public hearing procedure, even though it's right here on this table for the public to access. And it's been that way for quite a while. I've worked really hard to get my comments to 2 minutes. If I exceed that, fair warning. You've already violated this gentleman's free speech tonight. How many more will you? My illegal arrest happened in this chamber. Are you ready to risk another?
Absolutely.
And you're not to interrupt the speakers either.
You asked a comment?
I want my franchise fees refunded, all the way back to when there was a franchise agreement that expired, May 15th, 2015. The cable franchise renewal public hearing and announcement was published before the council accepted the recommendation of the Cable Review Board to hold the public hearing. The hearing announcement was published in the Morrison County Record on 2/19/17. Yet it was considered on the council agenda 2/21/17, item 9B under new business, before the council approved the hearing. This seems to violate the rules council is to follow. Why
Hands
have
up,
rules
Robin,
if
thank
you're
you.
going to disallow, if you're not
Robin?
going to follow them?
Your 2 minutes are up. Thank
I
you.
have a 6 minutes. You
You
allowed
have 2
Sue
minutes, and
Kester?
we're told.
Excuse
I just
me.
read.
I have
Before we start, you
6
had 2
minutes.
minutes.
I have just as much right in this chamber as
Exactly.
anyone
Your 2 minutes,
else.
Just like anybody else has. Please sit down.
From a letter from the
Robin?
city of Little Falls, Bob Vos, Kennedy engraver, dated
Ms.
August
Hensel, please
8th,
take your seat.
2012.
Do we need
Under
to have to
Minnesota
remove Ms.
law,
Hensel?
Chapter 238, addresses cable matters, franchise renewals are
Anyone else wish
governed
to speak?
solely by federal law. Under federal law,
Robin, please take
a
your chair.
cable
We
company
have other
must,
people that
you
want to
didn't
speak.
ask Sue Kester to sit down. Why not? You didn't ask Bruce Mahler to sit down. Why not? Why me? Why am I different than both of them and the other gentleman that stood right behind me at that meeting?
Okay, I think I can speak now that Robin's done rambling along. My name is John Sainer, 1401 Riverview Drive, Little Falls. I'm a user of Charter for phone, internet, and TV. If we don't have Charter, what do we have here? I don't want to be faced with a satellite that goes out under bad weather conditions. I'm a happy user. We use the TV probably 8 hours a day on average in the wintertime. In the summertime, we don't use it that much because we're outside until about 10 o'clock at night. But what other do we have available in town other than Charter? I don't know. So, if we have other options, I'd like to hear about it. I haven't seen anything in the paper of any other options, so what are we going to do without Charter? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I would like to speak, please.
Go ahead. Name and address.
Teresa Scorset, 209 First Avenue Southeast, Apartment 105. I believe that the city should press Spectrum Charter to circulate a survey to all customers to evaluate customer satisfaction. The responses to those surveys should be returned to Spectrum, but also should go to the city. It is imperative that the city, who represents us, get a copy of all the responses. I suspect that the city does not want to know if subscribers have complaints. For example, the city has not provided a complaint telephone number for subscribers to register their complaints about Spectrum service, and this is required by Minnesota statute 238.115, which says a cable communication system holding a franchise to provide cable communication services in any area of the state must immediately provide a consumer complaint telephone number to any person who calls the system or its agent and asks for a consumer complaint number. That number must be the telephone number of a person or agency that is unaffiliated with the cable company and is organized to provide assistance to complaining customers. I've been watching the money with this cable system since Jerry Abrams left, and most subscribers of Spectrum Charter are not aware probably that $4 out of their cable bill that we pay every month goes to the City of Little Falls in franchise fees and PEG fees. That's about $48 per household per year. And I understand there are about 2,000 households in the Little Falls area which subscribe to Spectrum Charter. That amounts to $96,000 a year that goes to the city from us, the customers of Spectrum. For that $96,000, we're supposed to be able to depend on the city to keep Spectrum in line, to address our complaints and concerns, and to see that we're getting what we paid for. And what I'd like from you is either an accounting of how you used my $48 to serve my interests, or I'd like to have that $48 back.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak?
Yes, I certainly would if no one else is going to speak.
Would you mind taking a podium? You could stand there for 2 minutes and videotape. I don't think you're just...
I'm going to sit right here because you allowed other people to speak in the audience. A number of them.
Cooperation. Well appreciated.
Under federal law, a cable company must request renewal in writing during the 6-month period from 36 to 30 months prior to expiration. The current franchise was granted in 2000 for a number of 4 years. With an 11-year extension of Charter upgraded the system. The franchise expires in 2015 because Charter upgraded. Accordingly, Charter will request renewal of this franchise in a few months. Within 6 months of that request, the city must commence a proceeding, which didn't happen in 2012. It's happening tonight, and only because I had to badger the city to get them to do this. That gives the public notice and opportunity to participate. Perhaps if the city had followed Bob Voss's legal advice, which was paid by taxpayer dollars to hire him, the city would have a franchise agreement already, as does the city of Little Falls. St. Cloud rather. Even though the taxpayers footed the bill to pay Bob Voss to advise the city cable franchise renewal, they never followed his advice. Even the public announcement in the city newspaper for this public hearing was a sham, reading only, quote, to consider the renewal of cable TV franchise with communications, unquote, instead of the real purpose of the hearing as stated by attorney Bob Voss in 2012, quote, the purpose of this proceeding is to review the company's franchise compliance and past performance, and number 2, identify the community's future cable-related needs and interests. This review is the source of the city's leverage, unquote. So, in negotiations, there is leverage to consumer complaints, which you have never heard until tonight. John Rademacher is quoted in that same article saying, in the Morrison County Record, quote, it may be useful for us to hold another public hearing to see if there are any differences in the information we can gather on this franchise renewal, unquote. Why not all that I just mentioned above? Why didn't our city administrator let cable Spectrum customers know how very important this meeting was?
Anyone else wish to speak?
Duly noted, you have violated my free speech once again.
Thank you for the information. Taken under consideration. Anyone else wish to speak?
I have a letter from a person from the west side who's going to be here, Clifton G. Evans. He asked me if I'd read it concerning the public hearing of Charter Communications. I said, thank you for accepting this letter in lieu of my personal appearance as I'm unable to attend this public hearing. Sorry. February 26th edition of the Record reports that City Administrator John Rademacher has mentioned forcing Charter out, and Council Member Raquel Lundberg has questioned cable use, stating, I know a lot of people don't even watch TV. I understand there is no cost to the city for Charter Communications to provide its resident service. Further, there is no obligation for residents to contract that service, so only those using the service pay for it. Points provided in line 2 have no relevance to forcing Charter out. I want to keep my cable TV and high-speed internet service. As my service affects no one else, I suggest that they just mind their own business. As an example, I'd like to point out that I have not used a landline telephone for over a decade, but someone else's choice to have one in their home is not my concern. If the City Council chooses to further pursue this non-issue, it needs also to investigate the motivation and possible special interest of those who pursue such action. And then it goes on to say, respectfully, Clifton Evans.
Excuse me, Frank, I didn't hear the name of the person who wrote the letter.
Clifton Evans. Cliff Evans.
Cliff Evans, okay, thank you.
This time we'll close the public hearing. Do we need any action?
Not at this time.
No action? Okay. Lettings. Engineering and Pavilion, Great Falls Art Complex. Greg?
Before this evening, we have an item on the agenda for a pavilion out at the Art Complex. In 2015, Burlington Northern granted the city $25,000 to go towards bathrooms out there. At the time, we were estimating the bathrooms were going to cost about $100,000. We were not able to raise any additional funds other than from Knife River, which was, I believe, either $2,000 or $3,000 towards concrete. But we weren't able to raise enough funds to cover the cost of a bathroom out there for a future splash pad. So we got in contact with BNSF to see if they were willing to allow us to use those funds for something else, such as a pavilion, as opposed to a full-blown bathroom at that location. They indicated that yes, they were willing to allow us to use those funds for something else. So after discussions with the park board, we decided on to recommend going forward with a pavilion. It does not conflict with the master plan, which I'll kind of show up here in a little bit. And the size is about 20 by 34. If you look at the ones over at the Limber Lions Rec Complex on the west side, that one is about 30 by 60, so it's a much smaller scale than what we have there. But we wanted to try to keep it within that amount of money that we had available to us to work with that $25,000. We've been looking at this for quite some time. The reason that it's taken so long to get to the council for approval is because we purchased off of the state bid. MnDOT goes out for bids on various projects or various components, whether it's pavilions, whether it's trucks, and we're able to purchase off of that because they're able to do the competitive bidding for us. They did not have that contract in place until now. They've been working on the fine details of it, and so it's finally in place. To give you an idea of what that would look like, you can see behind me, this is the structure that we're looking at. It does not have electricity, sewer, water, anything like that. Not like that.
Awesome, Greg, awesome.
No, it's not abstract.
At least it's not blue.
It would be blue. To complement the slide and the structure or the color scheme that's already out there. I'm not sure what it's doing. My computer froze up. Anyways, so tonight we are looking at approval of that. We are looking at $17,459.13 for the pavilion itself. An additional $1,250 for a structural engineer to certify the drawings. Because it is a public space, we do need structural engineer to sign off on that. City staff will construct the building. And that will all go towards the grant that the NSF has awarded us. Any questions?
Questions for Greg?
You would think that if they sell these pavilions to cities, that structural engineers component would be part of what they sell.
In the MnDOT bid, it was not a requirement of the bid, so they did not include in there. They knew that it was part of it, but because of the specs that MnDOT put out, they didn't have it in there, just to be competitive with everybody else.
They not have their own structural engineer and sales cost.
True. Still not.
And this is gonna come in with install under our 25,000.
That is correct, yes.
Because we had a grant for some concrete as well.
Yes, we did. Yep. Knife River was kind enough to donate for that.
What is the wish of the council?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Got a motion by Councilmember Bushwick, second by Councilmember Wildren. Any discussion? Made it.
All right.
So it's just gonna be a 4-post or 6-post like it's there?
6 posts like it is there, yeah. Basically identical to this, with the exception the columns of the roof on top will be a darker blue. The underside is still a white, that's standard. Obviously the picnic tables and stuff don't come with it, but essentially that same type of looking structure.
Is that just liquid paint or powder coated?
That's powder coated.
Is it a tin roof on there?
It does. It's steel, but yes.
I think that would be a nice addition to, everything looks a little bare out there, provide a little more.
A little more shade, a little more area for people to do have gatherings and such, yeah.
So I got a motion on the table. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Handicap parking request, install, approved. Greg?
Yeah, we received 2 petitions, or the council received 2 petitions for a handicap parking stall over on 1st Street and 1st Avenue, right across from the police department. Tonight we are asking the council for approval of that additional handicap spot. We've talked about this, I believe it was about a month ago, we kind of talked a little bit about it. Just looking at the clientele and the individuals that are going to the businesses over there, it makes sense to have that second handicap spot in that location. I know the one business has a temporary one right now, we would be requesting that back, so it would just be a permanent handicap stall on the 1st Avenue side across from the police department.
What's the wish of the council?
I'll make a motion to approve. Second.
Got a motion by Councilmember Hanson, second by Alderman Hurkak for approval. Any discussion? Greg, you just made the comment that we'll be requesting it for back. Can we make that part of this?
We
deal
can.
that it's going to be, the other one's going to be revoked?
Yes.
So there's not 3 on that
Correct.
corner?
Yes.
After hearing Chief Schur's and everything, all the input, I'm going to vote in favor for this. I think it's a good idea.
So basically, you'd just be moving the one that's temporary around the corner to the head ramp where it's an easier access.
Correct.
To make it a permanent instead of a temporary. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. New business, accept recommendation of the EDA Authority, ordinance number 94, 6 series, sale of property, Cush Properties LLC. Introduced, Lori.
The EDA met earlier tonight, and the city owns the old Clark Station property, which is adjacent to the Morrison County Record. That was cleaned up. We did advertise it for sale. We did receive some offers on the property. The EDA then went into negotiations with Lori Cush for Cush Properties, and she offered, and the EDA agreed to recommend to the city council that the property be sold to her for $18,000. And then under the circumstance that she built on the lot within 2 years, she did have an architect go in and look. Her building will fit on that lot because it is a little bit odd shaped. So her building will fit on there as she wants to build it, so she is ready to move forward with that. So the EDA is recommending that the city sell that lot to Cush Properties for $18,000.
Do I have a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Introduced by Mayor Zilka.
Second.
No, we just introduce, it was just
Okay.
one motion to introduce, we'll have action on the next meeting. Accept recommendation of the EDA Development Authority, continuing resolution 2017-13, support the Economic Development Authority application, Minnesota Investment Fund, Wabash National Park. Lori, you want to take that?
Sure. So earlier tonight, the EDA held 2 public hearings on the MIF Investment Fund application and then also a business subsidy for Wabash National Corporation. Both the EDA and the RDFA, the Rural Development Finance Authority, met earlier tonight as well. Both of them are approved business subsidy and a MIF grant application for Wabash. One of the requirements of the grant is that we get a resolution in support. The EDA have a resolution of support from the City Council to apply for that grant. So this resolution would be that resolution of support for the grant application.
What's the wish of the council on resolution 2017-13?
I'll make a motion, we adopt resolution 2017-13.
Second. Got a motion by Councilmember Hanson, second by Councilmember Wilderen. To approve resolution 2017-13. Any discussion? Hearing none, resolution, call the roll.
Hurkacz,
Yes?
Bushik,
Yes.
Lundberg, yes. Zilka,
Yes.
Hansler,
Yes.
Wilderen,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Carries.
Accept recommendations of the Airport Commission. Public Works Director, we got task order number 1.
Task order number 1 is an environmental assessment review or reevaluation out at the airport. We did a environmental assessment, I believe it was about 4.5 years ago, for the crosswind runway. And essentially what we'll be looking at doing is changing that crosswind. Currently it's at an angle, and so we'll be looking at making it basically due north and due south at the airport. And so this evaluation then will review any new species that are endangered out at the airport. And so, let me get this up. Essentially what it would do is convert it from this grass configuration right here, which is about 5 degrees off north-south, to straight due north, north and south. We are asking council approval in the amount of $26,752.01. There's a couple of new species that have been listed as endangered that we have to evaluate for. One's the long-eared bat. The other one is the rusty patch bumbleweed, I think, or bumblebee. I thought there was one more. I can't remember off the top of my head what it is. But we will have to do this before we move forward with any sort of construction out there. They are good for 5 years. And so tonight we would be asking the council for approval for task order number 1 in the amount of $26,752.01 to be charged to the airport improvement fund.
What's the wish of the council?
I make a motion to accept and approve.
Second.
Got a motion by Mayor Zilka, second by Councilmember Bushik, for approval of task order 1. Any discussion?
The way a lot of the airport expenses work with shared responsibility, is this just our portion or is this the whole thing?
This is the whole thing. So our portion, the local share is $1,250. Half of that is ours, so $675.
Thank you.
Sounds better now.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Capital improvement plan, accept. Right?
Yep. In your packet this evening, you've got the 5-year capital improvement plan for the airport. Essentially, it lays out the projects within the next 5 years. All of this working towards the construction of the crosswind runway. We'd be looking at having a paved runway as opposed to a grass turf runway that it currently is. By doing that, you will allow better wind coverage for landing out at the airport. Going from memory, there's about a 92% wind coverage right now with the paved runway. You'd be looking at greater than 95%, which is where you desirably like to be at. I believe once we get that paved, you're closer to that 98%, which is obviously better. If someone's flying, you want to make sure that they can land at the airport. One of the interesting things that I've recently found out is they did an economic impact study out at the airport. MnDOT's got a little calculator that you can evaluate how many flights in and out and what that benefit has to the community. For our Little Falls Airport, that benefit is about $600 and some thousand per year towards the community. So obviously it's an asset to the community. We want to make sure that we hang on to it and improve it as best we can to make sure that people, as well as businesses that are flying in and out, are able to use that as much as possible. So again, just tonight, looking for concurrence that you're in favor of it, and I'll talk to the county board that they're in favor of it. Because the next 5 years is really when we're going to be starting to spend some dollars in order to make that a reality.
What's the wish of the council on the capital improvement plan?
Make a motion to approve.
Go ahead. I'll second.
Second. Got a motion by Alderman Hercog, second by Councilmember Gushik. Any discussion?
Mr. President, if I could
Yep.
ask Greg to my favorite question that you usually get on the dollars, federal dollars that typically support 90 to 95% of this, like you broke down recently. Would you explain where most or all those dollars come from, the federal dollars?
The federal dollars come from the gas tax, the highway gas tax, as well as the fuel sales out at the airport. So it's basically using those funds to put back into the infrastructure that's out there. And the FAA contributes generally a 90-10 split. There's other components depending on where it's at on the airport, but there's a huge component of federal funds that go into the projects, as we saw at the previous item. And so it's very attractive for the local share to do those projects because it is an asset to the community, and the local share is pretty small when you look at the grand scheme of things.
Greg, doesn't that federal dollars also include airplane tax or air fuel?
Yes, air fuel as well as the insurance or the trust, the highway trust fund.
Thank you.
Can I just ask on our chart, because there's an FAA share, there's an FAA entitlement balance.
Yep. Every year we get we being the airport, we get $150,000 towards airport improvements. And so we can use those funds for various projects, and that, like on the right hand side, you'll see that dollar amount starts dropping pretty quick. Once you get into calendar year 2018, when we really start looking at those funds. Right now, we are maxed out at the $450,000 mark because that's all you're allowed to keep is 3 years worth of funds there. We can use those towards projects, crack sealing, and notice there's a number of items in there, and they allow you to use those funds for their FAA share. So like on the environmental assessment, you'll see total cost is $25,000, the FAA share is $2,250. That came out of the entitlement. It's the local entity's discretion as to where that's coming, and the feds will say what's eligible. So in this case, 90% of it is eligible, and you can use those entitlement funds towards that.
When we get into the construction phase in year 19 and 20, that's the other dollars they're going to use to contribute towards that as well.
Yep. If you look in the remarks onto the right-hand side, you'll see the state apportionment. So right now, the state has kind of a list of projects that they're looking at 5 years out, and Little Falls is listed on there as a state apportionment in both 19 and 20. So it's in our interest to move forward with this because they kind of have a line item for it. That's the first step to make sure that you can get some state funds to construct it, because it'll be a multi-million-dollar construction project once we undertake that.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Resolution 2017-14, installation of stop sign, 5th Avenue Southeast.
This evening, we're asking the council for permanent installation of stop signs on 5th Avenue and 9th Street. We put those up as part of the temporary review of the traffic around the high school and the 9th Street project over there. What we noticed when we put them up even before the other traffic control was up in terms of the one-way is that it actually started to make the other traffic control around the area work a little bit better. You know, we're always concerned about the unintended consequences of doing something. When we put those up, we actually started seeing a benefit that we weren't really expecting to see. One of the benefits that we noticed is that there wasn't as much of a backup on 9th Street because the traffic on 5th Avenue had to stop, and it allowed people to flow through there a little bit easier. In addition to that, there has been usually backups on the 11th Street and the Highway 27 as you go around the high school up to the Highway 27 area by the middle school. Without those stop signs, there's quite a few people backed up at those stoplights in through there, and so it was making it difficult for people coming out of the middle school parking lot to get into that queue for the stoplights. Well, by spacing traffic a little bit more with the stop signs, it allowed those stoplights to actually work a lot better. The first day that we looked at them, there was I think 5 or 6 cars continuously stacked up, and then that would block the middle school exit. Once we put up the stop signs, there was only about 3 or 4, so you could still get the people out of there that were picking up those kids at the middle school. Another benefit that we noticed is, you know, coming from the east going to the west, coming down that hill, it actually encouraged people to slow down coming down that hill. Now, normally, we don't like to use stop signs as speed control, but I noticed that, you know, coming down that hill when you were driving, you don't really pay attention to your speed. And so by having to stop at that stop sign at 9th Street, then you slowed your speed down and then you kept going again. So I don't know, Chief Sherman, if you want to add anything to that, but tonight we are asking councils for approval to permanently put those stop signs in there. It does meet our policy number 38 for the stop signs, but we're asking for formal approval on that tonight.
I did spend quite a bit of time over there with Greg and school staff as well, and I am very much in favor of the stop signs there as well. We've put radar speed signs over there before, and as Greg said, we don't want to use stop signs for speed control, but it has had many other benefits besides just slowing traffic down. As Greg mentioned, other traffic control devices are better able to handle the traffic that is presented to them. We're getting the kids at the school we're beginning to self-regulate. I would use the word. They'll leave school a little later because they know there's going to be congestion. So it's had a larger effect as well. The kids will wait a few more minutes until some of that traffic moves out, and then they'll come out a few minutes later. We did see some of that as well. So I think it's had many benefits.
So there's already a stop sign on 9th Avenue, or 9th Street. So you'd be putting 2 stop signs on 5th Avenue. So it would be a 3-way stop then.
They're already there.
I know, but permanently.
We did not take them down yet, but officially we do need council approval to put them in or to keep them in permanently. So if it's voted out or down tonight, then we would take those signs out of there. When we saw how good they were doing of the job, we decided to leave them up as opposed to take them down, wait a week and come back to you and say, can we have them up there?
I spoke with Officer Stump, the school resource officer as well, and he had commented on today as well to me that he saw a positive benefit around the school because of the stop signs.
Did you see the kids having a tendency to race out of the parking lot to beat the traffic now?
It's the opposite.
Yeah. And we'll see that a little bit later this evening I've got video from the Friday before the traffic control went up, the first day that it went up, and then the 4th day that it was up. And you'll be able to see it. It's not as if they were racing out of the parking lot to try to beat anything. It actually made it smooth going through there in terms of getting onto 5th Avenue. There wasn't a whole lot of traffic issues that we saw once we had that up.
I just had someone I asked about it. Was it the first or second day, and he felt people were trying to cut other people off more in the parking lot. I've asked him since then and said, well, And he said that it took him just a little while to get used to it, he thought it was better.
The first 2 or 3 days were pretty difficult. But after the kids and the other traffic, because the parents coming in there too, got their kids, once everyone, and the buses, we had difficulties with the buses as well, but it took about 2 or 3 days and then everything got really smooth and it worked very well. There was an adjustment period.
The day that I sat off to the side with Brad, they were very respectful, and I was actually really surprised the way they were merging nicely in the parking lot. And as they came out, they stopped. It was, we didn't have, we weren't in a police car, they intimidated. And then we went up to we were looking down toward the stop signs, and I was surprised how well it flowed out of there.
Right.
And then we went over to the stoplight for a while, and I didn't see more than 3 cars lined up there, which rather amazed me because it seems like whenever I get to that stoplight by Coburn's, I'm like 5th, and it seems like I'm waiting 20 minutes. So maybe when you're not waiting, it doesn't seem as long, but I was surprised at how well it flowed out of there. I thought it went great.
When I was over there also, I made sure that my squad car was not visible. I didn't want that to be a factor, so parked it away or anything at all. So.
Did you wear a mustache?
Put a disguise on this.
What's the wish of the council on resolution 2017-14?
Make a motion that we adopt 2017-14.
Second?
A motion by Alderman Hercog, second by Councilmember Lundberg. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just, being in that neighborhood and traffic uses it other than the school. So the school year's, approximately 172 days a year. And I don't think the mornings are a problem. It's the afternoon. So we're talking a 20, 30-minute problem for less than half of the days a year. And at 10 o'clock at night when there's not another car on the road, it's a freeway stop for no good reason. We talk about traffic as a body sometime, and as somebody who travels across the country and sees real traffic, we don't have a traffic problem here, I can assure you. I'm not in favor of the sign.
I'm in favor of the sign. There's other nights, after basketball games and prom. There's more days than 172 days. The schools are used quite a bit. Every Saturday, most Sundays. I think it'll be a benefit for out there. I'll go with the recommendation of the chief.
I was kind of on the same page as Leif on this whole deal. It's kind of the cart in front of the horse. So we're going to decide what we're going to do with 9th Street, why we're implementing half of the project, and
Whether we
wait until we get it.
Whether we go with the project like we talked about it with 9th Street, we don't do anything. I think this is beneficial. Just spacing them out a little bit at the end of the day.
That was our perspective on it as well. Whether or not 9th Street goes forward, it made sense from a traffic control and traffic standpoint from us to put the stop signs up there.
One other thing, I thought 5th Avenue there too was kind of one of the wraparounds to keep the traffic moving, to get them from 1st Avenue to 27. But that's not a state aid road, correct?
5th Avenue is a state aid road, yes. Yes.
So I thought state aid roads are supposed to try to limit stop signs.
Well,
We're not,
we've already got stop signs on 2nd. We've got stop signs at 4th.
Well, 4th is a state aid road too, going north and south, correct?
County road.
County.
Yeah. We do have stop signs on there, and just from the benefits that we saw from that project, it seems to make sense to move forward with the stop signs. That was our perspective on it.
I do want a sign at 4th Street, for the record. I've lost count of how many crashes I've seen in 20 years there.
I think 9th Street came through. Any other discussion? Hearing none, resolution, call roll please.
Kuschel,
Yes.
Lundberg,
Yes.
Zilka,
Yes?
Ansler,
No.
Liljegren,
Yes.
Hanson,
No.
Prokop.
Yes.
Carries.
Resolution 2017-15, letter of intent and submittal of grant, Initiative Foundation, feasibility study, Memorial Bridge.
This evening, we're asking the council for permission to send in a letter of intent for a grant through the Initiative Foundation. The grant would be for the feasibility report for the Trunk Highway 27 Memorial Bridge, the at-grade crossing with the BNSF tracks. If you recall back in October of 2016, we did talk about the Memorial Bridge in terms of possibly including that in our budget for 2017. We did get that on the vital projects through Region 5, and so we're optimistic that this will help us get some additional grant funds for that project. We are going to ask for the $10,000 from the Initiative Foundation if they will grant toward this. But we'd like to at least try and see if we're able to get those funds to help offset some of the costs for the feasibility report.
What's the wish of the council?
I make a motion to adopt resolution 2017-15.
Second.
Got a motion by Mayor Zilka, second by Councilmember Lundberg. For approval of resolution 2017-15. Any discussion?
Can you tell us exactly what the feasibility study will tell us?
It will tell us what options we have for crossing those tracks. Right now, BNSF and the Federal Rail Authority have conducted studies, one of each. And don't quote me on which one's number 2 and which one's number 4, but we're listed as number 4 on one of them and listed number 2 on the other one. One is for the accident predictability at that crossing. The other one is grade crossings of importance. So how important that crossing is to getting crude oil from the oil fields to refining. We're either number 2 or number 4 on that, and the other one is the accident predictability. Again, both of those numbers they're in our favor, but they're not where we want it to be. We don't want to be high on those numbers because it means there's a problem. And so, because we're so high on both of them, we have a good chance of getting funding for construction of some sort of a bridge if we could possibly go over it. But this feasibility report will help us find out what options there are for going over that if we can't go over that crossing.
Greg, that's similar to what South Rapids did, correct?
Yes, very similar to that.
Didn't we already approve a feasibility study for this?
We wanted to include it in the 2017 budget, but then when we found out that it was on Region 5's vital projects, we pulled it out to see if we could try to get some grants.
Okay, so this is to apply for the grant and do the study.
This is to apply for the grant. Right now, we would have to approve the study at some other future time once we get all the funds available. But I'm optimistic and hopeful that we'll be able to get the grant funds from the Initiative Foundation.
Do we have any kind of ballpark at all on the price of the bridge? I know you didn't the last time I asked. I mean, are we talking
It's
10 million, 50 million, 100 million? I mean, what?
I could get you in the ballpark. It's probably going to be about 30 million. But it's going to depend on the alignment. It's going to depend on how much extra work we're going to have to do in terms of how high we go, how long we go. There's a lot of variables in that, but 30 million is not out of the realm of possibilities.
Okay, and we would anticipate what type of state or federal participation on that?
I don't have a percentage, but it would be quite high. I know Governor Dayton's one of his high priorities is rail crossings. And this is right up that alley with rail crossings in terms of the crude oil and the accident predictability. So it favors well on the state level. It also favors well on the federal level because they also had that study that had ours as either number 2 or number 4. So we fare very well on both of those lists, both the federal and the state level, because of where we sit on those lists.
So, and recall too, this is getting, there are plans in the works for repairs to the bridge too in the future taking place.
Yeah, right now.
As those stand, the MnDOT will only do what they're asked, replace the bridge as is. I mean, until we come up with an alternative plan that has community support, buy-in, we identify other funding resources that we can have, and other partnerships that our community stands behind, an alternative to what it is that they have there. They're just going to replace it as it is. So if we're not going to do, we need to do our due diligence to figure out what those costs are going to be, figure out what the best plan option is going to be, what's going to have the most community support, what's going to be the best solution for us as a community. We're going to need that before we go and stand in front of the state and say, hey, we've done our work. We're going to commit this much money. We've committed this much time, this much energy, this much effort into this project. We need your support because it's the right thing to do for the state. It's the right thing to do for our community too. So we have objective knowledge that they know our crossing is dangerous, but they're not going to do anything until we've presented a reason for them why.
So that's why we need feasibility study.
This is really the first steps to understanding what are your options, and then from there you do a lot more. You work with the community, you set meetings, you get input, figure out how this is going to work, how it's going to be safer, and then you start identifying who are the resources and partners that we can attract to help make it happen. It's going to be expensive. It's going to be time consuming, but it's going to, in the end, be better for our community, as I believe it ended up being for Stock Rapids.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, resolution, call the roll.
Lundberg. Yes. Zilker.
Yes.
Knopfler.
Yes.
Liljegren.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Burkhart.
Yes.
Bushek.
Yes.
Carries.
Mercury minimization plan, wastewater treatment.
This is the one. All right. In front of you tonight, we have the mercury minimization plan for the wastewater treatment plant. As part of our permit, we have to inventory and try to identify where all of the mercury that comes to our plant is coming from. I will say there's not a whole lot coming to it, but nonetheless, we still need to identify it and try to reduce that. As you probably know, with mercury, it just continues to accumulate when you go up the food chain. And so the MPCA is taking the stance. We want to make sure we minimize how much mercury gets into the water to start with. So as part of our permit, we are required to conduct a mercury minimization plan, which we have in front of you, which kind of identifies how much mercury we receive from all of our users, whether it's industrial users or residential users, and then how much we're able to take out of that waste stream before we discharge into the Mississippi River. Not a lot more than that. We will have to update it every year and keep taking steps in terms of reductions. But there's only so much you can do with mercury minimization in terms of where it's coming from, whether it's from an industry, it can be even airborne, but obviously you can't remove that. So right now the first step is to tally how much we have coming in. We've got that. We've got to submit it to the MPCA for their review and approval, and then we'll be looking at steps for next year, which is going to be identifying who is discharging mercury to the city system. Even though it's minimal, and so there's probably only going to be one or two that we're going to be able to identify that may have potential to use.
What's the wish of the council?
Make a motion to approve.
I got a motion by Alderman Burkhart, second by Councilman Bushek, to approve the mercury minimization plan.